Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Ben Reed. I've been doing Amazon for a little over a year now, and I've kind of had varied success with that. Um, I use the typical software like everyone else uses, Tactical Arbitrage, Source Mogul. Um, but I run into a little problem with these. Since everyone is using them, I end up having a lot of competition, especially when it comes to items that people are auto ungated in. It's super easy for someone who's new to Amazon to kind of just run these programs, find items, and buy them and send them into Amazon. And then what ends up happening is the market gets flooded, with that particular product, which end up starting a price war because for some reason people think they need to drop their price to beat everybody out, and then ultimately you end up breaking even or losing money. I don't know if that's happened to you. It's happened to me a few times, and it made me be a little more intentional with what I was doing, but at the same time, it's kind of frustrating because everyone makes it seem like Amazon's the easiest thing in the world to go out and make millions of dollars with, but it's not how it ends up working most of the time. So, I found a few good items with these softwares. I'm not gonna lie. Usually books, sometimes very small items, but it was never really enough to get me ahead. Like it wasn't something that was easily replenishable. It wasn't something that, I was buying for $5 and making a 300% ROI on or 1,000% ROI on. I find those things tend to not come up when you're using search, programs like Tactical Arbitrage and Source Mogul. One thing I did notice with these softwares, though, is that, you go to a store, you go to a category, and, different products were gated, but the products that were gated seemed to have the best margins on them. Like you could, buy them from a website that was getting rid of them for $5 or $10, and they would sell for 40, 50, $60 on Amazon. And one of the categories I noticed that in was topicals. So I decided that I was going to make it my mission to go out and get ungated in topicals. So I started to think about how do I get ungated in different categories, different brands. Every person online has their little free ebook or their YouTube video promising they're going to show you the secrets to selling on Amazon, and as long as you sign up for their emails, and then they send you a course and they want you to pay for basically free information that they just put together in a course. I don't want to pay a bunch of money for things that I can learn for free online, like what I'm doing right now through this video. This is free. So I would rather learn in a situation like this than go out and spend $1,000 to learn something that I could have just searched on Google and YouTube. Um, that was number one. Number two, you end up with these websites that just, they promise to get you ungated in topicals and they want to charge out the butt for it. So, there's a couple of examples I found. Topicals ungating $500, topicals ungating $700, $499. This one is $399, but I mean the website just looks kind of sketchy if you go there. So do I trust them? Not really. I don't like the idea of handing out my information to a third party. Even if they say they'll take all the responsibility for it, the most they're going to do is refund you. And then if you have thousands of dollars in product at Amazon, well, you're kind of screwed at that point. So I figured there's got to be a better way. Maybe not as easy as paying somebody to do it for you, but definitely better for you in the long run. I mean, once you learn how to find products, you should have zero issue going out and doing the same type of research, but in a different category and coming up with good products. If if I could spend $800 on something like ungating, if I had $800 lying around to do that, I probably wouldn't be looking at Amazon as an extra source of income. I mean, $800 of disposable income is pretty good for most people. Um, so I started my journey to get ungated, certain categories, and certain brands. So one thing I am ungated in is I am ungated in the Hanes brand, which was basically the same process that I'm going to show you today, only I had to go directly to Hanes as opposed to the website I'm going to show you. Um, but today we're going to talk about topicals ungating and really how easy it is. Now I ended up getting to do it for about $183. Most of the videos you watch, people will say, hey, just, ask, go into this. They'll show you how to go into, the website or on your phone, go into this, do this category, ask, and then see if you're approved. And if you're not approved, sell more stuff and then go back and ask again. And unfortunately, nobody knows what level you get approved at. So for me, the idea is it's way easier to actually just go out and do it legitimately. Let's go out and find, good wholesalers. Let's get invoices from them and let's actually send that into Amazon. Um, because for the most part, if it's in a category like topicals or a subcategory and not specific to a brand, if you send them Amazon a good invoice, they're going to pretty much approve you. And why wait and struggle against all the competition for what could take years? You might have to sell $60,000 to make money on Amazon or to get, make that much on Amazon just to get ungated and topicals. When this you can do it a lot quicker and pay less than you if you paid a professional. So, um, I'm going to go through these steps. Not all of them are necessary, but I am going to explain what I did, why I did it, go through these bullet points. And, if you have questions or whatever, leave them in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer them. You can also message me directly on YouTube, and I'll try to answer them there too. Like I said, I'm not a guru. I'm not out there telling people that I know everything about Amazon. I'm just showing you what I did to get ungated. And I know it works because I did it, and I'll show you the proof. I'll go to my seller's page afterwards and show you live that I am ungated, and we'll go on from there. So the first step I did was register a business. You don't have to register a business to sell on Amazon. It is optional, but there are certain aspects of it that are not optional, especially when you're going to deal with wholesalers and suppliers. Okay. The other second thing I did was I got an EIN number from the IRS, Employer Identification Number. Is just separated. You can use your Social Security number, but why put that out there on someone's website? Someone's information. And what if they get hacked? If someone steals your EIN number, there's at least you have the federal law to protect you on that. If someone steals your social security number, you've got bigger issues than not being ungated. So, I also got a reseller certificate or a wholesale license, depending on what state you're in. Usually get it from your local government. I got mine from the state, so I live in New York. So in New York, you have to have a reseller certificate. And the EIN number helps with that because they basically just make your resale certificate your EIN number. For me, they're exactly the same number. So no matter where I go, whatever they ask for, I can give them the number. Um, the other thing too is in order to keep my business money from mingling with my personal money and to kind of avoid those tax issues at the end of the year, I did set up a business checking and savings, just a free one. Most banks, if not all banks, I haven't tried them all, but I know most banks, especially the local ones that I use, they require you to have the EIN in order to open a business account. You can't really do it um, with your social security number. The only option that I know to work around that is if you're doing a DBA, which stands for doing business as, in which case you're a sole proprietor, you're not incorporated at all. You're just saying that I am doing business as this entity, and that all goes on your personal tax income. Second thing I did was set up a business email. Some suppliers don't accept a Gmail or a Yahoo or a Hotmail or whatever everybody uses now as a business email address. They just won't do it. They'll get a little more suspicious, they'll do a little more digging, and you might not get approved to buy from them just because of your email. I mean, they're the ones looking for customers. They're going to buy things from them on a regular basis. So if they decide that you don't look like you're legit, then hey, it's their right to not sell to you. And with point number two there, a business email makes you look more legit. A good supplier is going to screen you. They're not going to just sell you stuff because you're a person that they want to sell to, or that, you're just out there trying to flip things. They want someone who looks like a legitimate business. And if you've done step one, you're already a legitimate business, so why not do step two here? Um, and I got it for the reason of separating personal emails from business emails. Yeah, if I'm going to sign up for like coupons from a website that I'm buying things from on a regular basis, yeah, I have a throwaway Gmail account for that. But if I want to send things, requests to vendors and say, hey, I'd like to buy from you, I want that to be in a completely separate email so I don't have to go back, use a search function, be like, which email did I use? I know which email I used because I have a business email. Okay, step three, which can actually be incorporated in with setting up your business email, is set up a website. Again, this is optional, but it's kind of recommended for a couple reasons. One is that a supplier is generally going to ask you for your website, especially if you tell them that you sell online. If you A lot of suppliers that I've dealt with, if you tell them that you sell on Amazon, some of them don't like that and they might not sell to you. But if you have a nice looking website, you know, it'll be legit. And I'll show you my website at the end. It's nothing special. It's not anything over anything. It's really a simple website that I set up through Wix, and I actually set up my business email through them too, through Gmail. So, that was like $5 a month is almost nothing. And then, setting up the website's like $30 a month, and I saved a bunch of money by paying up front. But so, the suppliers generally ask you for your website. Again, they're going to screen you. Good suppliers will screen you. Not all suppliers will, but generally the better ones will. You can use your Amazon store page if you want. Some suppliers, like I said before, just don't accept that. And the same with the email. A website makes you look more legit as a business. Even brick and mortar stores have a website. Even if they don't sell there, they have a website telling people who they are and where they're at. So good thing to have. Um, Step four, so what I did is I basically went on Google and I searched for makeup or topical suppliers. This is probably a big point that a lot of people miss. There are a lot of businesses masquerading as quote unquote suppliers or wholesalers, and you need to look for a few specific things when you're looking at somebody that you want to get supplies from. Because remember, you have to have a legitimate invoice in order to get ungated without having to wait to sell enough to get auto ungated. Big thing I see often with people, and I've fallen for this myself, unfortunately. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. You never pay for access to a legitimate supplier's website, okay? You don't pay for access to legitimate suppliers. Any supplier that is asking you to pay a fee to access their site, they're not legitimate, and their invoices probably aren't going to work on Amazon. Most suppliers just want to know that you're a business, and they want you to give them an estimate of how much you'd be willing to buy from them. Um, now there's an example for this that's okay. There are places where you can, if you want to, pay to get a list of suppliers, which is different than paying to access a supplier's website. There are directories out there that you can pay them 50, 60, $70, and they'll give you a list of all, 1,000 suppliers that are in America. And, you can do that if you want, that's fine. But, each of those individual suppliers, you're just going to have to research yourself on an individual basis. So the other thing I found is that a legitimate supplier will ask you for your employer identification number, and they're going to ask you for a reseller wholesale certificate. And there's a couple of reasons for this. And it has to do with what's on this page here, which is invoices from legitimate suppliers don't have tax added to them. There are circumstances where they can, but generally they don't have taxes added to them. Most wholesale suppliers, they're business to business. It's a service. So they're not required to collect sales tax generally. They do pay their taxes out of other things, but they don't collect sales tax because it's not going to a retail consumer. You collect sales tax from a consumer. You don't collect sales tax in a business to business transaction. This is why they want you to have an EIN. They want you to have a reseller certificate and an EIN because if they started selling to just anyone, eventually so they could, sell to the wrong person, and the government might come at them and say, well, you sold to a person that's not a business. We're going to say you're a retailer now, and then all of a sudden they have to pay sales tax, and they do not like that. If you're in any kind of business where you're moving stuff around and you're counting on bulk to get you to make money, anytime you have to add an expense to that, like tax, it's not fun. And I'm sure that, you know, the good suppliers will tighten up and the bad suppliers will tighten up too, and then you'll have less suppliers. You can have tariffs and other fees, especially if you're dealing with suppliers outside of the country you live in. So, like I said, I live in New York, I live in the United States. I would have a tariff if I bought stuff from Mexico, depending on what I'm buying. If I bought stuff from overseas, you'd have to deal with that too. Canada, the same thing. I'm a 2 hour drive from the Canadian border, and I would still have to have that because it's necessary. So the next thing, I did and did you would do is just reach out to suppliers that you find. Usually they'll have a contact page somewhere, and or if you are really good and you dig really deep, you can find like a wholesale page with some contact information for like signing up for the website or asking for more information. Use your business email. You want to look professional. Be professional. Don't send an email like, "Yo, what's up? I need to buy some blah 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 from you." Like, don't do that. Like what I did, and what you can do is you can write a script up and just insert the company's name when you reach out to them. So, it'd be like, "Hi, my name is Ben. I'm the owner of H-Man Inc., which is the name of my company. And we sell this and that, and we've been interested in your company. We'd like to see if it's possible to become a reseller or a distributor for your product." And then you can just, put their name in. If they don't sell a particular product in the script, you can just take that out, like a type of product. Um, you know, and then just use that for everything. The one thing you're going to find is when you're looking for wholesale suppliers and any suppliers in general, you're going to be sending out a lot of emails, and if you're doing it over the phone, you're going to be making a lot of phone calls. That's just how business works. You're trying to do that. Just like the people that do retail arbitrage, they're not doing retail arbitrage by sitting at home and doing nothing. They're going store to store to store, scanning all day and doing what they need to do. Now, number three here, make sure your signature looks legit. If you've worked any place where you've worked in an office setting or a business setting where you have an email, you know they make you generally put a signature at the end of your emails. That's to make it look professional. So, you should have your name. If you can put a logo in there, that's fine, but you don't necessarily have to. But your name, your role, all your contact info, including your email. A lot of people will leave their email out because they'll just assume, well, so and so has the email because I sent them an email, but it's not always the case. So make sure you have your email in there. And, if you have your website, put your website in there too. That way, if they need to screen you, they can screen you right from the email. Just go to your website and say, okay, at least they have a real website. So, the next thing, if you get somebody and they're like, yay, our order is minimum order is $100 and this and that, and you're like, yes, awesome, I'm gonna finally buy from them. Here's what you got to do, and this is what I did in order to get Ungated for $183. That $183 was my total purchase price. Okay, look for inexpensive items. You want to look for things that aren't, $60 per for your first order because you're really just trying to get ungated. And if for some reason you don't get ungated, you don't want to get stuck with, $200 worth of product. Make sure your order meets the minimum for invoices that Amazon requires, okay? Amazon requires that you have 10 items on an invoice, an official invoice, okay? I called them and asked them, and I have the email from them as well, the response. 10 items is however the vendor sells it. If they sell it by the each, the item is 10 each. If they sell it by the case, you have to buy 10 cases. So if you can't buy 2 cases of 5, it doesn't work. Amazon will reject that. So I ended up having to buy 10 cases of some makeup, which ended up being 60 units. And, that's what it cost me the $183. If I could have got away with buying two and having 12, it would have been even better. But, I made sure with Amazon before I made the order what I was going to do. Um, step three here, send all the necessary info to Amazon. If you've ever actually sent an invoice in, to Amazon, they also want pictures. So you can't just make the order and then send the invoice in and wait. They want pictures of the product, all sides of it. You can't download the picture from the vendor. They have to be live pictures, and you can't edit them in any way. So if you have a really junky cell phone that you're using for your pictures, that's what you got to use, unfortunately. There's ways to make that work, but Amazon is very specific about their things. And if you ever go into the process of it, it has a checklist in there. Just make sure it meets everything on that checklist, okay? Don't send Amazon anything. I highlighted this for this specifically. Don't send them anything but an official invoice, okay? Your order confirmation that they email to you doesn't count. All right. The packing list is like 50-50. When you get the product, sometimes there's a packing list with all the necessary information on it. That could count too. But for me, it was I had to call them and I had to say, listen, I didn't get an invoice. I need an invoice, and they emailed me a PDF of the invoice. Okay. You might have to wait for delivery because they might not send you an invoice through the email. They might, put an invoice in the box itself for the product. And if you don't get an invoice, reach out to the vendor. You're a business. All you got to do is tell them, hey, listen, per our policy, I need to have an invoice. I can't use the packing list. I need to have this invoice for tax reasons and keeping track of things. And they'll send it to you. And I had to do that with the vendor I'm going to show you at the end here because they didn't send it to me, but I was able to get it right over the chat, which was really nice. So, step 7, the worst step of them all. You just have to wait. This is a terrible thing, unfortunately, but Amazon, especially now with everything that's going on in the world, they take their sweet, sweet time when it comes to looking into ungating requests, okay? Because they're gonna call the supplier. They will call who you bought it from and ask if you actually purchased that item, okay? They want to make sure your invoice is legit and that you didn't send them a fake invoice, okay? They might confirm with the supplier all your business information. They might confirm with you all your business information. They might call you and say, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?" And I get all your EIN and your tax number from you. Okay. So my ungating took 2 weeks. Generally they say 2 or 3 days, but it's not how it works. They can take as long as they want. They're the ones in control. You're just sitting around and waiting. So I had cases and cases of makeup on my dining room table, just sitting around waiting for the ungating to happen. So on the next slide, I'm going to show you a picture of my invoice, what my official invoice looked like, just a screenshot of it. So, and this is the website, and I'll show you the website after this. Wholesale USA, you've probably seen their ads. If you do anything FBA related and you've searched it online, you've probably seen their ads on like your Facebook or something, with a lot of, comments under them where people are like, do you have this? Do you have that? It's, the, I went through this and I got ungated, so I know that they're legit. I get my addresses blanked out here, but my business name there and my name are on it. So I'll show you on the next page here what specifically Amazon looks for, okay? And what you should be looking for. So you see there's the company info, that's who I bought it from, that's where they are. Okay, it's got invoice information on the right-hand side there, as well as PO numbers, everything Amazon would need. Who it's billed to, your invoice does have to show you on it. So you can't just get an invoice from with their information on it. It has to have your business information too. Okay. You can see there's at least 10 units. Again, I ended up having to buy 10 cases. So because that quantity needs to show 10. If you notice in the item description, there's 6 pieces. If I would have bought 2, the quantity there would have shown 2 and they would not have accepted it. Okay. And then there's shipping on there, obviously. It cost me $15 to ship it to me. So, I got it for $168 for the 10 units. And after the shipping, it was $183. And that's what they sent to me. So let me pop out here real quick. And I'll do a couple of things first. So here I am in my Seller Central account. Everything's live. I'm clicking around and everything. Approved. If you don't know how to get here, you go to catalog. You go to your view selling applications. It's going to show you everything, whether it's in draft, whether it's, you've usually what ends up happening when it's in draft is you go and you realize, oh, I need an invoice, and then you go back and it goes into draft. Okay. So I'm going to go to my approved. There it is. Topicals approved on July 1st. I ended up buying in June and getting approved in July of 2020. The other thing too is your invoice does have to be within 180 days of like January or something like that. It's basically they tell you it needs to be within the first half of the year for one point and then every month out from there. So, if you're doing it in August, it'll tell you it has to be in February, that kind of thing. The next thing I'm working on too, just for the next video, in case y'all want to see it, is toys. I found a toy supplier and getting ungated in toys, especially now, to be able to stock up and find stuff and get into Amazon for Q4. I mean, it's 2 quarters away, but if you can get ungated now as opposed to later, why would you not? So I'm gonna, when that goes through, if I get approved, which I should, because I know that the vendor is a good vendor, then I will do a video on that as well. So here's the website, and I'll leave a link to the website down in the description too, as well as a link to other things like the EIN for, the federal employer identification number and that kind of stuff. And you can look down there for that. So it's USA-wholesale.com. Okay, this is what the homepage looks like. So when you log in, that you're going to end up someplace that looks like this. There's a lot of information. You don't have to worry about too much. Okay. The big thing is to look by. You can look by brand, but it's a little weird when you try to ask for brand ungating on Amazon because sometimes a wholesale supplier does not count. Sometimes you need a letter directly from the manufacturer. So what I did was I basically went into shop by category when I was in here, and I went over here and I went to stay in, just basically all makeup. You're doing it for topicals, which is like makeup, skincare products, that kind of stuff. You know, went to the page, scrolled down. So basically what I did is mine's not on here anymore. This is what I bought right here. So I'll show you this real quick. This is what I bought. It counted at Beauty Creations. It's a really nice little kit. Um, so this is what I ended up getting. Obviously, it's out of stock, so there's only so much you can do. Um, and I actually didn't even get that one. I got this one. Here we go. This one, was that one? No. Oh, it's this one right here. Yeah, the Cali Glows. Oh, it's back in stock, and it's even a little less expensive. Okay. Yeah, this is the one I got. It just has a couple powders in there or whatever. Um, I'm not gonna make a ton of money on them, but the idea is not necessarily to make a ton of money on this. You're just looking for something that's inexpensive that you can send out. And if you send it back to Amazon, make your money back. Yay. If not, at least you're ungated and topicals. It opens you up quite a bit. So I would find something inexpensive, like this is really good. You have to buy there's 12 units in a case, so you'd end up spending $176.40 plus shipping, and then you end up getting 120 of them. So maybe you could send them into Amazon for a couple bucks and do whatever. But this is the website I used. I know that they're legitimate. So um, here's my invoice. You see that number was on this. So yeah, so that's it. Listen, if you like the video, please like it. It's gonna help, especially help me grow the channel. My goal is to just get free information out there. I'm not looking to sell a course or get a whole bunch of people to sign up for emails, but I wanna, help people who are in the situation I was in. How do you get ungated in something? Well, this is how you actually do it, not going through and just constantly requesting. So. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. I know this is a little bit of a long video, but I wanted to get as much info in as I could to make sure there's anything there. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you can send me a message directly on YouTube, and I'll go from there. But thank you so much, everybody, and have a blessed day. All right, real quick. I realized I forgot to show a couple things in the video while I was editing, so I'm going to do that now. So I talked about the checklist that Amazon shows you that you need to send them. So I'm just going to pick a product here. So again, go to catalog, go to view selling applications, and that's how you'll get here. And pick a draft. So for me, it's Speedo. I was trying to buy some cheap Speedos and flip them. Oh look, I need to get approval. So you can get a letter from Speedo if you contact them directly, and they're like, yeah, cool, we'll let you sell stuff. And it basically just has to have these three things on it. It has to be dated within 180 days of the day that you're requesting the application, and it has to be after January 31st. So it has to be from this year. Can't use one from 10 years ago when you had your physical store and you sold Speedos. Yeah, your name and address and the name and address of Speedo. It's basically the same thing here. So, your invoice basically has to have the same information. So it has to be dated this year within 180 days of when you're sending in the application. It's got to include your name and address, the name and address of the manufacturer, distributor. 10 items, like I said before, I called Amazon. It's 10. It has to show 10 on the invoice. So if it's 10 cases, it's 10 cases. If it's 10 pounds, it's 10 pounds. Um, You can omit the pricing. I don't really care if what Amazon knows what I'm paying for it, so it's not necessary. And then you're just checking a box here that says, yeah, I agree. You guys can totally make sure I'm legit. And then sometimes down here at the bottom, there'll be a thing that says ask for pictures. And they'll say, hey, if it's a physical product, you need to have pictures of all sides of it. It needs to show specific things, the same kind of checklist. The other thing I wanted to show you was my website. Hey, so this is my website, hmaninc.com. I will leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. There's nothing to sell on there. It's basically just a website so that when I contact vendors, I can say, hey, check out my website. Makes me look more legit. Um, so this was on Wix.com, which I can leave a link for that down there too in the description. But basically, it's just here to show that I'm a legit website. The background was free, the layout was free, this picture was free. I have no idea who this girl is. I have no idea who this girl is either, but it was free through Wix. So, talk a little bit about my business down here. I do a lot of work, with different community organizations where I live. So I like to put that on there because people see that and they enjoy it. A contact thing. If someone wants to send me an email saying, hey, tell us about yourself, I can totally do that. And then brands, I just have a quick page with brands on it. You know, list a couple of names for different things. And so when a vendor comes here and they can look at my brands, I can say, hey, I sell True Religion, and I'd like to, sell your products along with True Religion. And, that's a well-known name. So people see that and they go, oh, okay, well, it must be pretty legit if he's selling True Religion. So we could probably sell to him as well. So, but that was it. If you liked the video, please comment and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Leave a comment anyways, even if it just says hi, just so it helps with the algorithm for Amazon or for YouTube, to help this video get ranked. Because I really want to. My big goal here is to get this information out there to help as many people as possible. Like I said, I'm not selling a course. I'm not doing anything like that. I just want to help people who are in the same situation I was do things like get ungated, find good products, stuff like that. So please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video.